Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast, and this is really exciting because it is the first episode back in a long time where I said that I was, closing the podcast and then starting the Inspired podcast, or Live, Feel, Be Inspired, and then I went on this 6-month break unknowingly. It wasn't, something I planned to do. It just is what happened. And now 6 months later, coming back to, okay, the podcast is coming back. The name of the podcast is the Carlo Cirillo Show. What is the angle? What is the direction that I want to go in? And all of these exciting things have led me back to recording this episode right now and sharing it with all of you. And I'm excited to do this because the podcast for me has been a platform where I've been able to build my life over the past 5 years, interview some incredible people, but also connect with listeners, a community, build a community that really means a lot to me, and have been able to support each other through so many things that have happened in life. And the friendships that have come from this, between listeners and the community, my program, the events, the retreats, all these beautiful things have led me back to the point where I'm like, I haven't been doing this obviously for 6 months, but what means a lot to me and why have I not been doing it? And they're all things that I want to share in this conversation today, this return episode back into the podcast. What's been happening the past 6 months, why I've been so away from social media and podcasting and all these things. Really interesting situations in my life that can probably be relatable for you. Where I am now and where you meet me now in my life and all the things. And then also the future. What is the plan, the mission, the vision of all the things that I'm doing and participating in, and a lot of other fun things on how we can connect even more and bring back the energy of this podcast, but also the community that is what I really, like I said, I love so much and love to be a part of and love to keep building. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. If you're listening, please connect on whatever platform you can. Right now is the time to get out your phone, send me a DM and say, hey, I'm listening to the podcast. Or better yet, go to the podcast Instagram, the Carlo Cirillo Show, and DM me there. Go follow it, because that's where all the content's going to be coming up. And I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and just listened in. So this will be available on all podcast platforms, also on YouTube if you want to watch, if you want to join me in the conversation. And I don't know where else, but if I put it anywhere else, you'll know about it. But to kick off this episode, recording podcasts have been really interesting for me. I've been able to go from amateur and know nothing to Googling how to start a podcast, helping a lot of other people build their podcast now. And along the way, there's so many times where, I wanted to get, I got a camera because I wanted to film these interviews. I got nice mics. So you might see me with the headset mics when I interview people. And sometimes it got really fancy, right? And I'm recording in a podcast studio, like the ones that are about to come out after this episode are filmed in a podcast studio in Bali. And look, I'm just a fan of always, whether I'm going to be recording, in a cafe with someone, or maybe just over Riverside where, we're not going to be in the same place. As much as I want, as I can, I'm going to be recording in person. But, sometimes that's not able to happen because of people being international or whatever. So for me, bringing it back and not trying to make things too fancy is a really important part of this. And also to show all of you that you don't really need everything to start. You just need that motivation and that drive to start. So welcome in. And also, on top of that, I have had so much incredible support from sponsors over the years. And as of recent, there's been a few that have supported my journey and always been there. Even when I had this 6 months hiatus or retreat, they've still supported me. And I am so grateful for them. And I'd like to give them a little shout out right now. Just little. They're not ads or anything. But first and foremost, one of my best friends, Dan Kosh, and his brand, Sacred Cacao. It is my drink of choice. I still love coffee, but having a cacao just hits you different. It is a beautiful I don't want to say chocolate, cacao. And there's 5 different flavors on here. We have Earth, Rose, or Earth, Love, Vitality, Fire, and Ceremony. If you might have seen me in the past few weeks or months, I host cacao ceremonies with Sacred Cacao. They do a lot of good work in giving back to saving the forests in the Amazon, but also just incredible humans, and I'm glad to be part of the team. You might have seen some images of me at Lost Paradise over New Year's. Was making cacao lattes and shakes in our sober tent at the festival, but then we also got a main stage because Dan and I like to DJ, and because our parties were so epic, they gave us a main stage, and it was epic. So if you're in Melbourne or Mildura, a lot of these parties and ceremonies are happening on a monthly basis, so check them out, and also check out cacao. There will be a discount in the link wherever you're watching below to get yourself some. Highly recommend. All the good things in it as well. Secondly, Shine. So if you haven't heard of Shine, it is a natural energy drink, and for me, it's a nootropic as well, which means it has all these things that help enhance your brain function and your body. Things like ginkgo, things like turmeric, L-theanine, green tea, all these just awesome things in a can. During soccer, I used to, at halftime, smash a Red Bull, right? I don't play soccer right now, but for me, it's how can I get better energy into my body? How can I not put artificial things into my body that are just full of sugar and all these different things? For me, Shine has been amazing when I need that kick. And for me, it's bringing together things that help you think, feel, and do better. I don't have a code for this product, but you can go to basically any supermarket, go grab it and try it for yourself. There's so many different flavors. My favorite is the blue lemonade, as well as the orange and mango. So go check them out, go support them, because there's going to be a lot of fun things coming up with them. They sponsor both Sacred and Shine, sponsor my events. So that's pretty cool. Whichever event you come to, you're either getting a cacao or a Shine. Not a bad deal. And thirdly, a brand new sponsorship that has come in only in the recent weeks, and that is with Bon Charge. And they release products that are EMF blocking, but also good at blocking all the harmful radiation and things that we don't want to consume a lot of, right? And now there's always this debate about blue light and EMF and how much is it affecting us, and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, all this stuff. At the end of the day, we don't really know the long-term effects, because this is only stuff that has really come in over the past 10, 20 years. But out of the things that I have researched, and please go do your own as well, being able to tune back into your body's natural rhythm of your circadian rhythm is such an important part of getting better sleep and feeling better. And at nighttime, none of our ancestors were sitting in front of a TV or with so many blue lights shining on us and being active and scrolling on social media at midnight when we're supposed to be asleep. We were sleeping when the sun went down, getting up when the sun went up. But I know that that's not always feasible. So I work late into the night, and I've always wanted a pair of these blue blocking glasses, and now I got some, and they look absolutely epic. So if you want to get yourself some, go to the link in my bio, or not the link in my bio, the link in this podcast or in my bio. It should be everywhere. Go down to the bottom, click on the website. There will be a promo code there as well to go get yourself some of these products. I know they've also got red light therapy lights, the blue blocking glasses. They have even headphones that are EMF blocking. So just so many different products that can help you optimize your life and not take in as much of these harmful things that are causing problems within us. So go check them out. Bon Charge. Thank you very much for sponsoring the podcast. I'm just amazed by the fact that I have a podcast that has sponsors, right? And if you would like to sponsor the podcast in any way with any product, I'd love to shout you out. Even if it's not a sponsorship, right? Because there's different not deals, different agreements that come with all of these different brands. You might have seen Eva was a brand sponsor in the past, and I got sent mattresses and couches, which is really cool. And I still use them in the hub right now, and I've got a few photos coming out for them. But if you have a product and you want to send it to me, whether it's a crystal or an oil or whatever it may be, let me know. Send it to me. I would love to use it, try it, and then also share it, because you just never know who's going to connect with it. Cheeky little shout out to Blue Lily one of my good friends, Lily, part of Sacred as well. This oil we use in every meditation that we do at the Hub, and Cold and Conscious as well. Beautiful intention oil made from Blue Lily. Anyway, something like that. You can check it out and try these things for yourself. But that's all from the, sharing product side of things. But I think one of the cool things about having a podcast like this and stepping into the things that you want to do is you connect with really cool people and really cool products and brands that have products that align with you. And for the most part, so probably not Shine and Bond Charge, because they weren't friends to start off with. Sacred and Blue Lily, these are friends of mine, and I've seen them over the past 2 years and been a part of helping them grow it and spread this message out there of these really awesome products. So go check them out. But also, if you are a business owner, giving you a massive shout out right now of whatever product you've got, just get in contact with me. I want to share it for you. I feel like this community that we have, or this society, should be about sharing what we do. Now, whether someone buys it or not, like that's, that'll come in the end result. But just sharing about it, I feel, with all these algorithms and everything, it's so hard for the new entrepreneur or business owner to share their product, especially if you're a home-based business, you're very small, you don't have a marketing budget, hard to get it out there. But if you are in business, if you do have something that you are promoting, whether you're a coach, you're a teacher, you've got a product, whatever it is, all I'm going to say is keep doing what you're doing and reach out and collaborate with people, because you just never know where that could go for you. That's how I've activated all these brand partnerships, unless someone reached out to me, and it's been able to open so many doors for me. But anyway, that's a lot of me just talking about products and why we should connect and all those fun things. The interesting part right now that you've been waiting for is, where have I been for the past 6 months? Well, let me take you on a journey back to like November. My partner got placed for her job, Mildura, and we were living in Melbourne and starting to build, everything in Melbourne. I was building the businesses and the communities and the events and all those things. And I love Melbourne. It was an incredible place. I was living in such a beautiful place as well, close to all the people I wanted to be close to. So when this came up, I was like, oh, well, if I'm going to be moving back home, so Mildura is where I grew up for, most of my life, and then at 16 I moved to Melbourne, 19 moved to Europe, 21 moved home. That's a story for another day. And Mildura's always been home for me because my family live here. My sister and her husband have got their kids here. It's always grounding for me. So I was excited at this new venture of what could happen here and what could I bring from the existing communities that I've created in Melbourne through, Sala, through Cold and Conscious, through the events that I've been hosting. How can I bring that to my home community? And while thinking of that, I started looking on realestate.com, not an ad for them, and looking up spaces, because I was like, one of my visions was to always have a wellness hub, a place where, you could do healings, meditations, yoga, events, all these different things. And I found one really quickly, and I rang the real estate agent. I'm like, I'm in Mildura in a week. I want to come check it out. And I did. Stepped into this building. It was the second floor of this building. And as much as it needed a lot of work, and hence why it'd been vacant for a long time, I just seen the vision of this place. I was like, this is it. This is where I want to create this space, and for this to be the first of my Sala wellness hubs. And pretty quickly after that, this is even before I really knew about moving back home. It was like I didn't really have anything planned. It was like, oh, I've locked in this space, and everyone was just like, what? That was so just spur of the moment. And I am very spur of the moment. Don't think about things a lot. That can be a blessing and a curse at the same time. Got the space, and between, it was probably November and December, because in December, over New Year, we had Lost Paradise. So I knew that I wanted to get these renovations done and then come back from Lost Paradise and launch this place. It was school holidays, and January, I was like, this is when I want to do it. And when I set my mind to something, I do it. And again, I think that is one of my key skills in my life, is that when I want to do something, I lock target with it and I just make it happen. Even if I have to watch Google videos on how to strip flooring or put this flooring together, lay the flooring that's in this building right now, or, have to paint the building myself, I just make it happen. And over the next 2 months, with my dad's help, I was able to transform this space into what it is now. And I don't know, I can't, obviously for you listening, I can't show you anything, but on YouTube, I might have a picture here of what it was before and what it looks like now. And it's just crazy. And to think that it's been operating for 6 months now is just like something I've dreamed of for the past 5-6 years, and it's here now, and it's pretty crazy. So leading up from that, we went to Lost Paradise, helped Sacred. I was DJing every night with them, as well as making cacao smoothies and all of that. And it was an incredible event. Met a lot of amazing people. Afterwards, got to go into the Blue Mountains with the gang and just had a really fun time in terms of music and fun and setting up something really powerful for the guests at this festival, but also a really nice time connecting with a lot of my great friends. And rushed back home, which was, a drive from Sydney to Mildura is, not a couple of hours. It's like 9-10 hours. Made my way, actually no, I went back to Melbourne, picked up all my stuff, shoved it in the van, which is even further, and then drove to Mildura. And it was probably a space of 5-6 days to finish what I had to finish in the hub, to then have a launch party on the Sunday night. And I'm very blessed that I had a lot of my friends, my family come and support in opening this studio. And this has taken up a lot of my time since opening. And I think over the past 6 months, it's been a juggle of moving back to a place where I don't have as big or as connected as community as I did in Melbourne. But I knew coming back to this place, every time I came back, whether it was months at a time or years at a time, I always met new people that were open-minded, that were like me, and I always knew I wanted to do something. So I was always hosting events or yoga or catch-ups or whatever it may be. And for some of you, you might remember my old community, the Conscious Collective. That was how I was building it. Like wherever you were from, would come into that Facebook group and would connect wherever we go. Keep posted to the last bit of this thing that I'm going to share, because I've got a new community that we're doing the exact same thing, just under a new name. Anyway, so when I got back here, I was like, okay, well, I'm jumping back into Cold and Conscious. I'm jumping into hosting events here, whether it's cacao ceremonies, new moon meditations, breath work, whatever it is, I want to host it here. Especially now because I have a space to do it in that's mine, that's under the Sala label. It was just really exciting. And I went all in on, running classes, getting memberships up, collaborating with teachers, and for a good 3 to 4 months, we were doing exactly that. We were running classes, whether it was for the public, whether it was for corporate. On top of that, we ran some day retreats. We ran some big events here. We collaborated with some really cool people in town. We did a lot of really good work for the community. Like every Saturday, we do a sunrise session that's free. It's a bit of movement, bit of connection, bit of meditation, bit of stretching, and then we go for coffee afterwards. The really cool thing about this studio or this hub is that downstairs is one of the best cafes in Mildura. Shout out to Black Milk. So we can just walk downstairs, grab a coffee. But over that time, I've been able to connect with a lot of amazing people. A lot of people have come into the atmosphere, the energy, the vibe of everything, and create a really beautiful community here in Mildura of people that, again, like-minded, but we all felt like kind of lost, like we didn't know each other before, and now we do. We're like, oh my God, where have you been this whole time? And I think that's the power in, especially if you're starting a community or a project or something, the power of just bringing people together, human connection. You never know where they're going to be. And if you're starting something and you're thinking, oh, there's no one like me, there is. You just need to put yourself out there, and you're going to attract those people in. And whether it's we do cacao connections here, or we bring people in and we just hang out. It's just a really cool space. You can go check it out on the Instagram, Sala_wellness_Mildura. We have a healing room opening, which is going to be Reiki, spinal energetics, massage, studio for recording podcasts, just like this one I'm in right now. But also just really fun activities here for everyone to join in on. So over the past 6 months, that's what I've been running, and I didn't realize running a brick and mortar studio would take up so much of my time, whether it was organization, whether it was back end of business, for all my business owners, you know what I'm talking about, organizing events for the next month or payroll or whatever it may be. Like, it was a lot of mind space. And then at the same time, I was still running a leadership program online. I've still got that running as well with some incredible people in there. So there's still a bit of the coaching, mentoring aspect going on. And then I planned a few of these events in Melbourne for my Blueprint 2-day event, which I've been running for the past year now. But normally it would be an 8-week program. I squished it into a 2-day event. And to put it out there, honestly, it flopped, right? Last year we had like a lot of guests and it was a really fun event. This year they just didn't go to plan, and other things that I was planning, these events just weren't getting the numbers, whether that was my energy, not enough marketing, whatever it is, it didn't eventuate, and it took a lot of time out of me, a lot of energy out of me, but also cost me a lot of money. And I was starting to feel that pinch, especially with a business like the studio. I put a good 6 months of like, okay, if this loses money, okay, that's okay, because we're building, we're getting it out there, we're paying for marketing and all this sort of stuff. But there has to be a point where we then go, well, this has to turn a profit. And for a good 3-4 months, working really hard, helping my sister in her restaurant, Larry's Piazza. If you're in Mildura, come check it out. I was bar managing there on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Just a lot going on. And then you throw in all the other things of life of just like, for me, it was like, oh man, I'm in Mildura. I think at that point it was getting up to my birthday and, turning 29. I was like, man, I'm almost 30 and look at all these things that I haven't achieved yet. The normal things that come up for life. My relationship was having some challenges at that time, and even I was just questioning, especially because I was spending so much time doing the stuff here. I wasn't doing the things that I really loved, like the podcast, like my program, like connecting with people, like traveling. These things started to take a back seat. And when the things that you love doing and you're most passionate about start to take a back seat, you start to operate from this autopilot of like, all right, I've got to go to work to make the money, to then pay for this, to then support the business, to then do this, and then this is working, and I feel like it's my passion work, but it was almost draining me because we weren't seeing a return, we weren't getting the results from people coming that I'd hoped, and maybe my expectations were really high, or maybe I just was not looking after myself. I think it's an accumulation of all these things, right? And looking after myself in terms of sleep, working out, healthy eating, all those types of things. And it all built up. And when you're not looking after yourself and you're not nourishing your body, your mind, and your soul through your purpose and your mission, over time, that starts to eat at you and can very much lead to a downward spiral. And for someone that's been in the industry of, supporting people, mentoring people, and very freaking consistent on social media in inspiring people and sharing lessons, this became one of my biggest challenges in myself to, can you be okay with what's happening right now? Can you be aware of what's happening? And I was totally aware. I was not covering my eyes and going, I can't see what's happening. I can't see what I'm feeling. No, I was feeling it, but also I was in it, and it was kind of hard to get out of it, to be honest. And my mindset wasn't as powerful as it was, let's say, 12 months ago. And when you're in that place where it is a struggle to do even the things that you're passionate about, you really start to sink into self-doubt. You really start to sink into a lack of motivation. And there were times where I'd have these little boosts and, I'd try and put myself back in the place of like, have fun with it and do this. And don't get me wrong, I was still doing fun things that I enjoyed doing and passionate about, like the studio, but the things that I really, 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 really cared about and that were really important to me started to, again, drift away too far. And for me, I always go back to, and I teach this in my program, in the blueprint, is your values. Because if you're not living in alignment with your values and you're trying to live other values or someone else's values, or they're trying to push them on you, of course you're not going to feel good. Like, I think it's also not a lack of inspiration or motivation in our life. And a lack of energy. It's a lack of doing the things that we really enjoy and love. And I think we're in an era where you can do anything you want to do. And I put a little asterisk there. To a point, there is certain degrees that we need to get to do certain things, but you can start to do those things. And of course, there's certain limitations that people do have, physical, mental. But at the same time, there is so much opportunity. You can work from home. You can work from anywhere in the world. I've got friends that do so many different things, right? Whether you are doing what you love and making a lot of money, or you're doing what you love and making enough to get by, that's a beautiful opportunity for you to be able to do that. Now, I come from a place of, I don't judge what anyone's doing, right? I'm not going to say that's the right thing, that's the wrong thing. Wherever you're at is wherever you're at. But there's got to be a point where you ask yourself, am I enjoying the life that I'm living? And am I sharing and expressing what I want to give to this world? And I always think back to a grade 5 task that we had was to write your obituary, what they say about you at your funeral. And it could be another task of just thinking, what are the things that I want to do with my life? And realizing that we have time, but we also don't have time. And my favorite Gary V quote or video is like, just squeeze the juice out of the life that you do have, out of the time that you do have. You weren't born for a long time. You're born for a short amount of time and live for a short amount of time. Then you're dead for a long time. So while you're here, do the things. Have fun. Express yourself. Connect with people. Live. Love. Enjoy your life. And there are going to be moments in that life where things are going to be up and things are going to come down. And from a conversation that I've had with Dr. John DeMartini on the podcast, please go back and check them out. There's been 2, hopefully another one soon. When those things are happening, we know they're going to happen, like the roller coaster of life, right? You can't always have up and not down. It's the duality of life. But when you're in one of them and you're kind of coasting through that and nothing's kind of coming up, it does get hard. It does get challenging. And you need, it's not an external factor to switch this. It is an internal mindset, right? Because even if good things happen, you'll be like, oh, that's good, but yeah, look where I am. I'm still in this position. It's that mindset shift that you have to switch the gear to bring that momentum back up in your life. And the 6 months of everything that's been happening got to a really challenging point where, I was seeking support, from the people, from my really close friends, from professionals, to be able to go like, what can you see that I can't see? Because I'm feeling this. I know what I'm feeling. I'm sitting with it. I'm not ignoring it. I did, however, start to not turn to, but I was drinking a bit more alcohol. Doesn't help running a bar. But I wasn't eating well. I wasn't moving my body. And I was aware of this. And I could see what was happening. I could see it in the mirror. I could see it in my own mindset. I was like, I don't feel like Carlo, and I need to do something about it. Otherwise, this is just going to continue. And I can use many different reasons, right? I can say, it's the challenges that are happening. Life's hard. I'm going through my Saturn return and whatever. Like, yes, we can think of so many different reasons, but at the end of the day, whatever that reason is, you are the answer, and you are the one that's going to take you from the position that you're in and move you towards who you want to be, where you want to be. No one else was going to do that for me. I had to decide and take that step, and not just one step, continuously take steps. Even if I took 2 steps back, taking another step forward to keep moving towards who I want to be and the life I want to live. Because it gets super hard when you're in those positions, when you're at a low point and you're just sitting in it. And, during that time, you're not looking at it going, this is amazing. I had in my mindset, I go, whatever I'm going through right now, this is going to be amazing to write about in my book. This is going to be a really cool story to share one day on the podcast. And what do you know? I'm sharing it now. But for the time that I was going through it, I was like, this is tough. And I've experienced stuff like this before, but it had been a while because I was riding the momentum of what I'd created and I'd been so consistent. But when I dropped out of that, I got to this moment and it was just like, okay, I've got to trust that what's happening is telling me something, and trust that I'll find that answer, and also have faith that it will get better. Because no matter how bad or challenging or tough it is right now, there is an equal opposite side to that, where there is alchemy. There is the breakthrough that you're waiting for, right? We have to have a breakdown to then get to a breakthrough. So for me, I was like, this is my breakdown moment where I need to be present. I need to get back to basics and start taking those steps. And if I do that, I'll start to improve and I'll start to find the answers naturally. Not try and force things, but just trust in where I'm moving to. And in that trust is also knowing that there's some decisions that need to be made. There's some really tough decisions. Like, I've had to get to a point where I had to, with the hub, change the whole model and take out the whole system of memberships and classes. Now it's a rented space. You can hire this beautiful studio and teachers are now hiring it for their guests. I still run my sessions, but it's not an everyday thing like I thought it would be. So I've changed the model to work more for me, which has actually given me more freedom and flexibility. So during all of that, it's like maybe we just need to pivot and adapt when things aren't going the way we want them to in order to step on that new path. And that's what I've had to learn in many areas of my life is like, where can I pivot? And the same thing with the podcast is, Live, Feel, Be Inspired was inspiring, pardon the pun, but it also didn't really feel like me. And the purpose that I created for it, as much as it was exciting, I still was like, man, it's something about this doesn't feel right. Okay, pivot back to the Carlo Cirillo show. It's me. It means I can talk about whatever I want. I can interview whoever I want. And the angle of it can change based on me, not on inspiration. So with that also comes, the thoughts of like, oh, what will people think and all this? And then, like, at the end of the day, I don't care. I know what I'm doing. And even if, it's just me having good conversations with the guests, then I'm winning. If anyone listens to it, that's a bonus for me. And that was always the goal from the podcast from the start. Doing something that I love doing, that was including some of my highest values of growth, connection, learning, and living the life that I want to live, right? And sharing that with others, impact through the work that I'm doing. And even the thought of coming back to this was really exciting. The other side to it was Sala. So you may or may not know that I have a company called Sala. It's a wellness organization where we had a wellness app which had meditation, yoga, all these beautiful things on it. And that was fun, but also, to be honest, cost me a lot of money, put me in a lot of debt over the past 12 months, and just recently made the decision to close that down, but still keep Sala because we still run amazing events around Australia. And also the hub is the Sala Wellness Hub. So for me, it just meant that I had to adapt and pivot based on the situation. There was this really powerful story that I heard on someone's reel where it was about a flood that was happening in a town, and this kid got his leg caught on the drain, and the water was rising and it was coming up to his chest, and people were going, look, we can't get you out, we've tried, like, let's just cut off your foot. and you'll survive. And the little boy was like, no, like I'm a soccer player. Like I can't do that. I won't be able to do what I love. And they were like, but you're going to drown. And he's like, no, don't cut my leg. Whatever you do, like we'll get it out. And the water kept rising, and eventually he drowned. And, I think when something is not working, whether it's a business, a relationship, a project, our job, the habits that we're doing, if they're not working, if we keep holding on to them really tightly, sometimes it's going to drag us so far underwater. And the benefit of letting go would allow us to float and rise to the top and not drown. Dan Kosh, one of my good friends, always says, if you're in a hot air balloon, you've got these like sand sacks on the side that are like keeping you where you are. You can keep pumping the gas and the fire, but you're still being weighed down. If you just threw off the sandbags, you would just naturally go up. And, as much as to think about it, you don't want to cut your foot off, right? But what are you holding on to that's keeping you stuck? And that's where I had to assess that. And a few of these decisions had to be made. And at the end of the day, you don't start something with the goal in mind of, hey, I'm going to stop this in 12 months because it won't work. You always have the best intentions for things. And maybe there was a pivot in there. But for me, I had to really reassess and go, what is for me? What isn't for me? What am I willing to continue on? And what is lighting the fire within me? And making the most impact for myself and others, but also that is living my mission and my purpose, which is to help people connect back into the true version of themselves so they can love themselves, be themselves, and live the life that they want to live. So for me, it was, I need to bring myself back to the core things that are going to be achievable for me to do with my energy and my time, but also lead on to the other things and not try and do all the things at once, which is a lesson that I always have to keep learning because I love doing millions of things at once, many ideas, which has brought me to where I am now, which, we launched a new company, which has nothing to do with any of this stuff. It's called Accelerator Agency with my good friend Lawrence, and we help other creators and influencers create a centralized community where they can share all their content, monetize their content, but also create a more powerful and impactful community because of social media being so difficult with algorithms and all that sort of stuff. So that's something that I'm working on the side. Like, we love the design part of it, the back end. That's really cool. I'm doing more design work now because I really like it, and it's also paying the bills while I cover all these other things. I'm still running events. I still run events here at the Hub, but also in Mildura. Looking to host more around Australia. My 2-day event is shifting into a 1-day event, bringing back the live shows, which came from the podcast, bringing back the blueprint, the online blueprint, the inspired blueprint, an 8-week journey into connecting with yourself, finding yourself again, and creating the life you want to live, which is really exciting for me because I haven't done that in so long, and that gave me so much joy to support people in doing that. So right now I'm at a place where I'm not at 100% yet, but I'm at 100% of where I can be right now, and I'm working on the basic things. I'm working on the little things of clearer communication with myself and others, sitting with myself more and connecting more in nature, working on the things that I know I want to work on, like asking for help more, nourishing my body with good products, good food, sunlight, all these things, and working out, getting my body moving, the basic things, the foundations that we need. And I guess looking back, like, that 6 months was a good break from everything. Didn't post on social media, didn't reply to people. So if you're one of those people, I'm sorry. Didn't do a lot of things that I was doing before because I was like, I just need to check out so I can retreat back to who I am and really connect back to that so that I can come out with purpose and within my values, not just keep going for the sake of keep going. It was I can look back now and say, oh, this is a blessing. I'm so grateful that it happened because it's really aligned me back into my mission and who I really am. But I'm not going to sit here and say that it was easy. It was tough. I went to Bali for 2 weeks and there was some shit that happened there too. And it's just that all these lessons have taught me things to go, well, you living your life, you doing the mindset work, the healing, the this, the that, doesn't mean that shit things aren't going to happen in your life. Does not mean that difficult times are not going to be present. It means that you become better at dealing with those and bouncing back from those, and allows you to also realign back to, even when you get nudged off, coming back to your purpose and your mission, which I think is so important. So what the future holds for me and all the projects and all the things that I'm doing, well, I think the one main thing that I'm working on so much is bringing me back out there. So, on Instagram, being present, sharing content, because that was something I loved doing. Whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all those things, right? Might even start vlogging again. I don't know. There's no pressure on it, but I want to get back into this stuff. The podcast is a big focus of that. So again, if you're listening right now, I'm just so grateful to have you here. Much more cool conversations coming, and live events from this podcast. On top of that, the blueprint coming back. I feel we're in a time where a lot of people need it most, right? That connection back into ourselves, our values, some forgiveness, gratitude, all those beautiful things that have made that program so powerful for over 300 people over the past 4 years. So that's coming back online, but also the in-person one-day events as well around Australia, collaborating with all my friends as I normally do to share impactful things. From that, the lead into that is the Inspired Collective that I'm creating. It's on its own app, so you don't have to go on Facebook. You don't have to share who your friends are, your family are. You come on here, you create a profile that is just really simple, but you're also in a community where it is like a Facebook group. We can share, I've got different sections in there where it's like one's daily inspiration. I'm going to send you a daily inspiration that goes to your phone, your email, and you receive it. You don't have to jump on a different platform in order to read it or try and find it through an algorithm. It goes directly to you. We're sharing masterclasses in there from a few of my friends, guest speakers from the podcast as well, behind the scenes of all this sort of stuff. Events will be posted in there and you'll actually see them, not like us all trying to post on Instagram and try and get everyone to see it. Again, algorithms. They've stopped people from seeing the things that we really want to see. But then also a place where we can connect, we can talk, we can share things. Like imagine having a community where we have our own marketplace. Like, hey guys, I've got this laptop for sale. Who wants to buy it? Or I've got this service that I offer. Maybe it's Reiki. Who wants to trade with some design work so we can like exchange services? I think that's really cool. And it's something that Facebook, Instagram, all these different platforms didn't allow us to do because there's a lot of creeps. And you've got like people from like 20 years ago on there. This is something that I'm really excited about because what we did before with a Facebook group was really powerful. The events that we did around Australia, the people we had from around the world. Now it's moving across to this one that's more centralized, more streamlined, and also tailored for you, right? And at the bottom level of this, it is free to join. So if you go to the link below, wherever you're listening, join the Inspired Collective. You can join and you can be a part of it. And there's other layers that you can go to. There's one where it's more personalized, where you get every 2 weeks we have a group call. You get some one-on-one time with me, and you get more lessons and masterclasses. There's also a Creators Academy if you're someone that wants to create an influence or has an influence that you want to share, or creating something like a business. We have lessons in there and topics and whiteboard sessions to help you grow and thrive. I'm really excited about this because it really creates a hub for all of us online or on our phones that we can connect into, ask for help, connect with people that we want to connect with, like-minded people, and also thrive as a community. So there's some of the big things I'm working on. Accelerator Agency, we're helping other influencers and creators streamline where they are and create a platform just like I've created for myself, which is really exciting. And then on the other side of that, like so many events, like I really want to get myself back into the event space. I loved it so much. More meditations, back online, collaborating with cool people, but also just bringing us together in the different places that I've been. I think there's been 4 or 5 years where I've probably more, probably like 7 years where I've been putting myself out there, networking, and I've met so many incredible people that I really want to bring us together. So whether I'm in Adelaide, I'm going to try and bring us all together. Whether I'm in Melbourne, Sydney, Gold Coast, I just want to bring us together. And maybe all meet up in Bali and have a good time. But you never know. But I'm really excited about the new direction for me coming back into this podcast. And, even the fact that I've got everything set up right now and I'm recording is just, it feels good. So the big takeaways from this is if you're in a place where you feel like you need to take a step back to reassess, it doesn't mean that you have failed in your mission. It means that you've hit a failure and a lesson along the way, which is inevitable for growth. And there was a really cool quote I seen on Instagram, and it was something like, just because you aren't creating in your way that you create, whether you're a painter or whatever, just because you take time away from it doesn't make you not an artist. It's giving you time to create new perspectives to then come back and paint the picture that you want to paint. So if you're at that moment where you're taking a step away or you're just coming back, if you're at that time where you're taking a step away, know that that's okay. Please reach out to people if you need support. I think that's really important in those times, because we can try and keep it all to ourselves. The other side is if you're coming out of that, welcome back. Really exciting. And I think either way, wherever you're at, please join this community. Jump in. We want to support you. We want to bring us together, because if you're listening to this right now, you've gotten through a pretty long podcast. You've enjoyed something about this, and you can connect on some level to something that I'm saying. So you would be perfect for this community. It's free to join. Jump in. I'm going to be hosting meditations in there, giving you tools and tips and all these different things so that you can thrive. And we also come together so we don't feel so alone in this journey that we're doing, because I know that feeling as well. And I want to be here to support you guys. So again, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. I have some epic guest episodes coming up, and they're just going to be absolute fire. So if you want to stay in tune with all this stuff, the best way is not my email list, not any of those things. The Inspired Collective. Go to the link wherever you're watching or listening, click on it and join. You'll get everything from there. 2, connect on Instagram, Carlo_Cirillo, or the Carlo Cirillo Show. Both of them, they're really good. There'll be little snippets of all this sort of stuff that you can tag your mates in, share it around, help me out, be fun. And on whatever platform you're listening on or watching on, subscribing to my channel, liking this video, leaving a comment, all those things just mean so much to me. And if you wanted to reach out in whatever way to, connect, thank, share a product with me so that I can shout it out for you, might create a segment like that. Or if you have any ideas or anything like that, you want to collaborate in any way, my email, now I'm giving out my email here, so I'm very cautious, connectwithcarlo@gmail.com. Right? Hit me up on DM on all Instagram and all of that, but they'll get lost, because when I tag a post and I tag 20 people in it, your message goes all the way down. It's something Instagram should fix, right? My email is connectwithcarlo, all one word, @gmail.com. Reach out. We'll have a chat. But also, I can say thank you for listening, and I can see if you're actually listening because you'll send me an email. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for all the goodness that is coming up, and I hope you got something out of this episode to inspire you and help you along your journey. It is my absolute honor and pleasure to guide you, but also share my life and everything with you in the hope that it helps you feel more okay with living this life as well, going through the challenges, but also know that there's people just like you and have been through some similar things, but also there is hope in creating a better future, a better life, and all those things. So again, from the bottom of my heart, so much love for all of you, and thank you for being part of this journey. Can't wait to share more with you. Take care, everyone. Peace.